Hello, friends, and welcome to the Salon. We are not a politics podcast, but we do speak out when the moment calls for it. This is one of those moments, so I've written out some thoughts. Los Angeles, where I live, is in the national and world news again. And unlike the wildfires, this time it's an entirely man-made reason. One man, Donald Trump. For those blissfully unaware, ICE, or the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, is conducting raids all across the country in which masked goons in plain clothes or otherwise inconsistent uniforms and body armor are going into communities and rounding people up. Are they in known hotspots for dangerous activity? Are they going after drug cartels or weapon smuggling? Are they being sent to the borders, regardless of blue or red state voting? No, they are primarily in blue cities and states going to hospitals, elementary schools, and even immigration court hearings. So for those who say nonsense like they should come here the right way, that's what many of these folks are doing. And in many of these cases, ICE is doing this without proper warrants. They have detained folks who are here legally and even US citizens. They're breaking in car windows and dragging terrified people away from their families, dragging kids away from their parents, and sending them to detention centers and limiting their access to legal counsel. These raids came to LA, and the community banded together and peaceful protests began. Again, I live here in LA, and these are peaceful protests. You will see some some in the national media and countless ghouls online posting salacious videos of a burning car or other fanfare from years ago, trying to act like there is rampant looting and rioting happening every day. At any protest, you will have a few bad actors who try to take advantage of the situation, but there have been very few incidents, and the few clashes have been police response, not protesters. There's even video of a reporter being shot by police with a rubber bullet. For no reason. She wasn't anywhere near the police line or being told to move back. No warning, just shot with a rubber bullet. All of these things are on video. Even the LAPD has said things are well in hand and peaceful. They even had a contingent in the LA Pride Parade while all this was going on this past weekend. Just today, my U.S. Senator Alex Padilla was doing the job he was elected to do and demanded answers from the Secretary of Homeland Security and admitted puppy killer Christine Noem while here in LA for a press conference. The senator was forcibly removed, pushed to the ground, and handcuffed. The department issued a statement full of lies, claiming the senator did not identify himself, not true, that he lunged at the secretary, not true. It's all on video. This was a controlled space. They knew who was there, but they lie anyway. None of this makes us safer. None of it lowers costs on housing, healthcare, food, or school. Whatever problem you have in life or I have, I can with 100% certainty say it is not the result of our broken immigration system, and certainly not due to the immigrants who do more for this country than any billionaire ever will. This is all because of one man, Donald Trump. He is excellent at least one thing: diverting attention. Donald Trump doesn't want you talking about the fallout with Elon Musk, which sadly does impact us, and that's a whole other conversation. And he doesn't want you contacting your legislators as they try to ram through this terrible, quote, big, beautiful bill that will raise taxes on you and me while lowering them for the richest people already hoarding wealth they could never possibly spend. It will make it harder for people to access healthcare and food and actually take it away from those already struggling. And that's just the surface. Donald Trump is great at diverting attention. Calling up the National Guard is a fascist distraction. Contact your legislators and demand that they speak out, demand that they vote down the big, beautiful bill, and watch out for each other. I want to end this by thanking the Star Trek actors and production team members who have spoken up, shared resources and firsthand accounts of the peaceful protests here in LA. Rosalind Chow, Jack Quaid, Todd Stashwick, Tawny Newsome, Bill Wolkoff, Yetidi Badaki, Nana Visitor, and many others. When we picked the episodes we wanted to discuss tonight, we had no idea they would be so prescient, but here we are. So let's go ahead and start the salon. Thank you. Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to the salon, and welcome to Matt, my new co-host, co-anchor in the Federation News Service desk, and new Angelino. Welcome home, Matt, and welcome to LA.
Thanks. I picked a really great time to be here.
You did, because honestly, it is peaceful and wonderful, and
exactly.
The weather's incredible, and the world's on fire, and LA no longer is. So, silver linings.
Yay.
Anyway, let's beam in the rest of the crew, starting with our co-host, Trevor. How you do?
Speaking of silver linings.
Live from occupied California. Yes.
Welcome to the Resistance.
Bonjour for bonjour.
That's a little opposite of where I was going, but sure.
I realized that after I said it, they just had to catch your catchphrase than the Resistance did. So
a little bit.
It's all good. It's all good.
Brand.
Yeah. Anyway, here's Benji. Benji, how's Canada? Better?
Better. There's no fire, but there is some smoke. So.
And how's the? I don't know. Anyway, here's Joanne. Joanne,
hello.
How are you?
I am well. I am well.
Excellent. California defector, Will, how are you?
I'm fine.
He left.
He ran away from ground zero, right?
Anytime I move, some shit happens. I moved to LA 6 months later. We had the pandemic. I moved to DC 6 months later. We got Trump. I'm sorry. I'm not moving for a while. I promise.
Please.
You go move to another country. Maybe it'll change my luck there. Who knows?
All right. Well, welcome everybody. A few folks can't be here tonight, but they are here with us in spirit. So get excited. We are going to quickly share a couple of fun things. First, the podcasty things. Please do like and subscribe here on YouTube, on the website formerly known as and continues to be called Twitter in my brain, and Bluesky. We have a website, salontrek.com. We have a merch store. We are on all of the podcast places, and anywhere and everywhere you can find us, even on Patreon, to support our nonsense, at Salon Trek in all of the places. Podcasting nonsense out of the way. Some breaking news, and congratulations to Michelle Yeoh for her Critics' Choice Association nomination as a Best Actress in a Science Fiction, Fantasy Series, Limited Series, or Made-for-TV movie for, you guessed it, critical darling and universally loved Star Trek Section 31. Get excited. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I certainly loved Star Trek Section 31. It was the best movie of the year.
I know most of us liked it a lot more than a lot of the chatter. Problems not whatever. But Michelle Yeoh remains a badass in all forms.
Correct.
Trevor, what were your thoughts?
I'm confused because on YouTube, all of the talking points, I mean talking heads, told me that it wasn't good. So I'm dumbfounded.
What happened? Anybody else have thoughts on this nomination for the incredible Michelle Yeoh?
Really quick, I loved it. I loved her. Fuck everybody else. Okay, go ahead.
I echo the same sentiments. I actually thought she was really good in the movie. So I don't like gripes, other things aside. I thought she was great. I mean, put her in everything. I don't care.
Yes.
Like, I think she's a fantastic actress and she's a good action star. And I think she's great as Georgiou. So whatever. Make it suck it.
And I think that's what, like, part of me is getting the feeling that when she was nominated for that and got that they're also taking into account, like, what she did in Discovery. Like, it just seems like, I know it was, like, for this, but it almost feels like this, we know that you were doing this character, and this is almost more for the character that she's doing, rather than just that one example in Section 31. I'm choosing to believe that.
I feel like you made that up.
And people are allowed to believe what they want to believe.
Less than like 12 hours in LA and he's a movie critic.
Well, I've been critical for much longer than that.
New YouTube channel starting.
Oh,
All right.
true.
Well, we also have some other breaking news on the Star Trek front. Star Trek Strange New Worlds has been, as you know, already renewed for a fourth season. The third season doesn't come out until next month, but it was announced today they have already been renewed for their fifth and what will be their final season. And season 5 will be a shortened 6 episodes. But you can see here the statement from the three executive producers, Akiva Goldsman, Henry Alonso Myers, and Alex Kurtzman. And man, my screen is smaller than I thought it would be, so I need to bring it over. I want to read this for the podcast on it. Here it is. From the very beginning, Strange New World set out to honor what Star Trek has always stood for: boundless curiosity, hope, and the belief that a better future is possible. We're deeply grateful to Paramount Plus for the chance to complete our 5-year mission just as we envisioned it. Alongside our extraordinary cast and crew, and to the passionate fans who've boldly joined us in this journey, thank you. With 3 more spectacular seasons ahead for you to see and enjoy, the adventure is far from over. Friends, panelists, Saloners, thoughts on this breaking news?
Well, we have the consolation of knowing it's going to take them 6 years to get it out.
Right.
So we will have
So,
6 more years of.
I mean, it takes more. It takes 2 years for them to make a season. Can I throw my conspiratorial hat into the ring? Can I say something?
Be brave, be bold.
Better than anyone I know.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So I believe, because Alex Kurtzman's contract with Paramount is up in 2027.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's booked this out. So I think the shows that he is executive producing, I think, are done. And I think because Star Trek is expensive, and I'm sure that the ratings are not where they think they should be necessarily, I think that, like, once we get past Kurtzman's appointment, I think we're entering another, I said this in the group text chain, but I think we're in for another dark age a little bit, because I feel like Paramount's going to sell the franchise. I think they're going to sell the IP to someone or put it up and offer it, I feel. And I don't like it, but I have a feeling. Bookmark me, conspiratorial, tinfoil hat.
I think I will join you in part of that conspiracy theory. I definitely think the ending of Kurtzman's contract is part of it. The merger is part of it. And I think even though Skydance was interested in Star Trek to make the merger happen, selling the IP or maybe the TV bit of it is potentially on the chopping block. I will respectfully push back slightly on I think what you were saying about ratings was just like overall Paramount Plus shows aren't doing as well as others. But
yeah. The show's expensive. They're very expensive to produce. What is it like? It's something like what, $5 million or something crazy an episode. I don't remember what it was, but it was yeah. So they're very expensive. I think
1.5 at the most.
Right, and that was, I think, that was Enterprise was the most expensive at the time.
Yeah.
So I think I think them the 5-year mark I think is fine. I think shows don't have that kind of longevity anymore to go 7 years. I think sometimes it's a little far-fetched for that to happen. But I have my reservations about what's going to happen next, because maybe they'll split the television stuff and the film again, where they'll sell off the television rights but keep the film with Paramount, which the films we have had, recent films, have done relatively well. And they keep trying to get some fucking film off the ground, but Lord knows if that's ever going to fucking happen again. So
Star Trek 4 coming soon for the last 10 years.
Yeah, 2020, whenever. So I don't know. We all kind of figured this was going to be the 5-year. All shows going to be a 5-year mark. Yeah. But I think announcing it this soon, I think, is a little suspicious. Because I would have announced it after the 3rd season premiered, but we're a month away. I mean, we haven't even gotten or waited to announce until after the 3rd season. I think they announced it to lock everyone in, because Kurtzman's contract's ending, so they're going to play out the contracts they have with the actors and everyone involved, and then cut it off. So I think that's what they've kind of done to lock everyone in. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear an announcement of Academy getting a season 3.
Yeah. There was that whole thing that Anson Mount was pushing back a little bit, saying like, well, I have a new kid, I want to have more family time. So I have a feeling he probably wasn't pushing and chomping at the bit. 5 years is probably 5 seasons is a good run. I mean, and that's the thing. It does, in their statement, they did say like this is what they had planned on doing. Like they were saying, as we always planned it, 5 years, which makes sense. You have that 5-year mission. So I'm cautiously optimistic to see how they wrap it up, at least.
More Kirk.
Again, I know. Ugh. Get off my bridge. Go back to your own ship, you farragut.
It's aggressive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome to Los Angeles.
Well,
Aggressive, and I think on point. And
am I wrong?
I think it was. We knew what he meant.
Problematic gay alert.
I'm counting it.
Oh, okay.
I also just needed a palate cleanser. Does anybody else have thoughts on the renewal of Strange New Worlds? Coming
2072.
I would like the set pieces. Once those set pieces get the scope for sale, I'm gonna start buying some shit.
And by set pieces, he means Ethan Peck.
I mean Ethan Peck. I mean them spitties. I need them.
Now push it.
I need them.
Now push it.
Now push the
Now
button.
Problematic gay alert.
It takes a second to get there.
I don't know what you just have bored.
That's what she's
Working
saying.
on it.
Problematic gay alert.
I just want the captions share so I can sniff Mount's farts.
Oh God.
I'm not pushing the button for that.
No.
No, that's.
I believe in kink shaming. That's gross.
It's been over. It's been over a year since I suggested that we needed a video for Matt's problematic something alert, and it was literally just going to be called that, and we never developed it. But thank you for renewing the campaign. It's back.
Those LA gays, they want a whole Ashley
Seat
furniture
sniffer,
set up their ass. You're gonna, you cavernous.
That was about.
Do not loop us all together. All right. The new pair.
I left. I left.
As they're sitting in the same square. Don't lump us all together.
How dare you?
Live from my
You
living
can put
room.
us in a box, but you can't make us.
How dare you lump us together? Oh, damn it.
Oh, we're together. Oops.
Son of a bitch. Hello to the very lively chat. My goodness. Hello, Joel. Hello, DT. Hello, panelists. Yeah, you do this.
I can keep this on this. Look, we have a use for it now.
Get excited. Alrighty.
What is happening?
You know what we need to do? We need to talk about Star Trek. But before we do, we should, as always, set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
Indeed, we should. So to set an intention tonight, I thought it would be fun if we just completely fucked with the plot of these 2 episodes. And instead of a bomb going off on Earth, we have a bomb go off on another planet and explain how that would change the plot of these 2 episodes. As always, I'll start us off by suggesting that the bomb should go off on Bajor. It should kill Kai Wynn, and then the rest of the series is just incredibly peaceful and lovely.
The Reckoning.
Problem solved. Let's go around the room. William, my love.
It should have gone off in this bomb pussy. You're welcome.
And that was Will. So we're moving on to
Do it again. Hit the damn button.
Problematic gay alert.
Anyway, I said it could have been like, I thought about maybe like Vulcan, or it would have been interesting for like Kronos, because then it would have given like the Klingons like a reason to be like super aggressive, maybe like a plot line of them trying to stop the Klingons from like committing like a full-on genocide or doing something awful, like escalating, like in purposefully antagonizing the Klingons to like break up the Federation. And it was like, oh, that's actually a great idea. So anyway, go me. But I would probably Kronos, because I think it would have given the Klingons a little something more, instead of just kind of being, I don't know. I got a little bored of the Klingons this in DS9, unfortunately. But yes, that's my answer.
Love it.
Also, this
Also the bomb. Yes, we got it. Benji.
Well, mine is also Klingon adjacent. So the bomb goes off on the moon, and then there's like a Klingon ship flying through space, and it gets hit by a shockwave, and then the Klingons are like, "What was that?" "It's Luna, sir. It's an Earthican moon." And then the Klingons hail Earth, and Admiral Layton tells them that they don't need their help, and then he uses that to stage his coup.
Are you J.J. Abrams?
So I guess
'Cause
it's the
that
same
plot
episode.
sounds very.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Star Trek 6.5. I love it. I love it.
Speaking of bomb ass pussy,
Absolutely.
6.5
oh my
inches.
god.
Somebody
That
reboot
was-
that.
Yeah,
I can't. Oh, I was. This is
that wasn't A to C. That was
No,
A to
I'll-
G.
Listen,
4 days,
I'll do-
hours on the.
It's my intention setter. I'll do the segue. Speaking of bomb ass pussy, Joanne.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for someone to do it.
So deep cut. They bomb Haven, and because they are defenseless, it kind of provokes the self-righteousness, of Starfleet, and they kind of run off half cocked, and then Cisco realizes what's really going on, kind of deal.
And they go full cocked.
And
In this
God.
bomb ass pussy.
I will say, I had one thought.
was it
And I
lonely?
realized, what? You
Oh,
can't give
God.
up on today. I'm running at like 30%.
Oh,
I will say I had the idea. I forgot that the Dominion War hadn't even started, because we went back and started rewatching it. Ryan and I did, and I forget where I'm at in the timeline, ironically. And I was gonna say this would be the perfect time where like Romulus was bombed, and then the Federation has to send, like, talks about sending aid to help their allies, and then that's when they stage the coup to like prevent that from happening. And then Leighton, and then it was this whole big political thing that then you can come back. It's very like Picard season 1, but like make it make sense. Anyway, I don't really have another one besides that.
I'll take it. Stan.
Yeah. I love all of these answers, and now that I am buying Star Trek from Paramount, I'm going to greenlight all of them. But my answer is Beta Z. I think, like, later on they're going to invade Beta Z, and so let's start it here. They bomb Beta Z. They've infiltrated, and I think it sets up what I would like to be explored a little bit more is, I could imagine the founders being like, okay, the Federation, who are they? The humans, whatever, solids, basic bitches. These Beta Zeds, though, the Vulcans, though, they may be solid, but they have these mental abilities that are intriguing. So they bomb Beta Z and go after them telepaths.
I like the continuity of that.
Yeah. Just adds a little bit of spice.
I like it.
Excellent intention setter as always. The intentions are set, and now, as we continue our 2-part exploration, we will begin our level 2 diagnosis.
Calibration is locked and normal. Diagnostic underway.
Diagnostic is what I meant to say. I'm not even drunk, y'all. I had like not even a half a glass of wine so far.
And is wine all you're partaking in this evening?
It is not, but
That was a read.
yeah,
But we can all have fun together.
yes.
You know what this is giving? It's giving Whose Line Is It with the two of us when they have to do that improv like news anchor.
Yeah. We'll figure it out. Anyway, top thoughts on these episodes tonight. Because we haven't actually said this yet, we are talking about the Deep Space Nine season 4 episodes, Homefront and Paradise Lost. They are a two-parter. This is when Cisco and Odo are called to Earth to consult on the new changeling threat. The changelings have bombed Earth Romulus conference on Earth. And hilarity ensues. No, paranoia syndrome kicks in. Like I said earlier, these episodes are prescient for our current times, and I hate that. I want the cool things in Star Trek to start coming true, and not the loser fascist things. But Donald Trump is president, so I need to tamp down my expectations, I guess. Or silver lining, he's hastening World War III, which gets us closer to the Vulcans coming and helping. I don't know.
That's what I always think. Whenever something bad happens, I'm always like, it just sets up World War III. And if it keeps us on the timeline of that happening sometime in the mid 2030s.
Yeah, it just sets up a massive amount of death. Cool.
Listen, silver linings.
No. These episodes are so good. The paranoia that kicks in, the real reasons to be concerned, bleeding into overreaction and taking it a step too far. Like, I find myself being like, okay, phaser sweeps. It's a little weird that you're going to have phaser emitters in all of the rooms, because I would be very concerned about going into a room that just happens to have a phaser emitter in it, because we know that they don't just have a stun setting. What do you mean my conference room has a phaser emitter in it? So that's weird.
It's kind of like somebody installing a handgun in the side of the room and being like, hey, don't worry, it's only going to shoot the people we don't like.
Just in case.
Don't worry, it's there to protect you. God. Oh, wait. That does seem apt.
Admiral Layton is a great character. I thought acted incredibly well by Administrator Velas in a few years when he joins the Enterprise cast.
Mm-hmm.
Delightful stuff. Matt, what were your top thoughts before you take a drink of that?
Again, I do think it's a little too on the nose for what's going on. But hey, isn't that what Star Trek's supposed to be about? We want to see the other side of what could happen, and this is just a direct thread. No, I really liked it. They've always been a really great two-parter that I hate going back to because it frustrates me. Because it's one of those things where you just want to shake everybody and just tell them what's happening before they figure it out. At least that's what I do.
Except Joseph, he got it from the start.
Well, he knew that right off the bat. He's been around so long. He was overthrowing the Federation before Cisco was even around.
Yeah.
He was trying to have an alliance back when he was an admiral before he got discharged and then, had to go on the
oldest father in a new name.
Well, no,
the head cannon is gonna make Will vomit.
I was just gonna barf.
Joanne, what were your top thoughts on these episodes?
So I generally like them. I love seeing kind of the Cisco family dynamic unpacked a lot, and just watching Cisco kind of navigate between, his role in Starfleet and his role in the family, and really trying to navigate that. I think that was by far the most interesting sort of aspect of these whole 2 episodes. So, they're not my favorite, but I think they're good. That's it.
For whatever reason, I have seen these episodes a lot. I don't know if it was just like one of those weird rerun things where they were just always on TV. But I've always loved them. They're really excellent, and I don't know. I'd always felt previously with Star Trek in general, you have say like a World War II fascist allegory or something like that, and I've always been like, yes, these things have happened in history before, and yes, they're interesting, and it's great to have these allegories happening, but they're not relevant anymore. I still appreciated them, But now we're in a time where they are relevant again, and I never thought I would see or experience that. So, we have these tales for a reason, and people need to pay attention to them. It is hauntingly prescient, as you said, Sam. Like they're, there's like declaring of martial law, like carding random citizens in the street just to prove who they are, a potential coup. Yeah, it hits a lot different now. Always been one of my favorite starters, now more than ever.
Yeah, they're good. I'm finding myself like, especially with the rewatch of like specifically the DS9 two-parters, like I'm finding that they just like, I wish they went a little further. Like I know we're hitting the limitations of like in terms of like the storytelling the writers are wanting to do and the limitations of TV in 1996. So I'm seeing we're butting up against that a lot, because like what they've decided to do in these two episodes is really, really interesting. And like DS9, I always view it as like the anti-Star Trek, where they kind of did everything the opposite, where, Next Generation is primary colors. It's red, blue, and yellow. DS9 is green, purple, and orange. So like they're like, even the color, the tone, everything about it is like opposite Star Trek. And like seeing an admiral, which is not uncommon, do something kind of awful. It's an interesting episode, two episodes to watch, in that they're the threat of the Dominion and like a culture that is so underprepared to fight an enemy like them, and not just like in terms of like combat, but like psychologically and like morally and mentally incapable of doing it. And we see later in this series that they Section 31 created a virus to commit a genocide. So like we see that there's these lines that they're willing to cross in an effort to maintain peace. And that being strikingly prescient, even especially today. I wish this show was airing now, because I feel like DS9 in today's climate, I think would play well and benefit from like a modern television lens and production and scope. Because I feel like they could have gone so much further. Because I felt myself in the episode going, I wish this was like just this much more. Like I can see that they're hitting the limitations of the limitations of their budget, the limitations of TV at the time, the limitations of like what the network's gonna let them do, the limitations of like Rick Berman. So like you can see they're hitting the show wants to be so much more than it is, but they're so trapped by it. And these two episodes are really a point that I felt like this hit home really deeply for me. I think they're good. They're not episodes I revisit a lot, because I find the space battle in it to be really ridiculous. But like
more firing those phasers himself, because they missed so much.
The barrel roll that he does, where none of those shots hit, and then like the scale of the Defiant is weird because it shifts in size wildly constantly. So like how big is this fucking ship? Because like it's huge compared to it's the scale anyway that we need to do a Patreon thing where we talk about ships. But like I think the dynamic between Sisko and his father, I think is really I think that is such a wonderful point of this episode. And I think Avery Brooks acts his fucking ass off. So and Brock Peters, I think his father, I think fantastic. Like I always knew him as like Admiral Cartwright, so I was like, like as a kid I always thought like one actor could only play one character forever, so bringing him back to play a completely different character just melted my brain as a child. I was like, his dad's a traitor, and I was like, now I'm like,
fairness, I mean,
well, yeah. So anyway, we can get into it, but great episodes regardless, I guess.
Real quick before Trevor, I also wanted to say on this rewatch, to Will's point about the limitations of their budget, I found it interesting with everything going on, watching it and seeing Starfleet officers beam onto the streets of Earth, Starfleet security officers, And it occurred to me, for them to just be able to look out their restaurant window and see 2 security officers beam down, one of 2 things is happening. Either the father, the family of the current head of Starfleet security, Ben Sisko in this episode, is getting extra security, or the other thing is so many security members are being beamed to so many places on Earth that you could literally look out your window and see them. From this angle, we just happen to only see 2. I think, again, the limitations of the budget at the time, like today it would have been many more, and you'd probably see cut scenes to like
You'd see shuttles,
churches, schools, and shuttles going down, and like.
I will point out is the same shot of the two actors. They just change. It's like the same. It's funny to me because it's the same shot. It's the same 2 actors that are out there. Like it's the same. They only have the same 2 guards, and they're just kind of like wandering the street. And then they did like a day for night on one of the shots, which I thought was really funny. But yeah. Anyway, it's always the same 2 actors, which I think is hilarious.
But that also, to me, I look at it and I'm like, you're gonna beam. They say like it's the, there's security agents on every corner and everything. It's like, but there's not that many security. So like, why are they
there? I think that's the implication, is that there's a shit ton of security just doing nothing, which is again prescient. A lot of
I do think it's funny that they're just in their regular uniform though. Like they should be in like riot gear or something, but they're going down their little pajamas, and I'm like, girl, that clearly don't have like any type of like
protection
at all. You're down there in fucking a wool onesie, thinking you're gonna stop these people. The fuck. Anyway,
speaking of wool onesies, Trevor, what were your warm onesie top thoughts on these episodes?
First of all, how did you know? Second, there are a couple things I love about these episodes. These 2 episodes. The first. First, let me just make a quick comment. If these 2 episodes were happening today in a Star Trek today, these 2 episodes would be an entire season. I keep saying that when we're talking about DS9 2-parters, because that's the beautiful thing about DS9 is that it was giving us serialization when it wasn't quite accepted yet, which I just kind of adore about it. I like a good rabble rouser, and DS9 is one. The biggest standout for me is Joseph Sisko. I realize he's not the major point of the episode, but he sort of is, because he's really the only civilian that we hear from, with the exception of Jarish Inyo, who is just being manipulated the entire time and forced to make weird decisions that he shouldn't be making. But that being said, the fact that these 2 episodes, and I'm sure there are other examples, fans don't come at me, I just haven't thought about it yet. But for Deep Space Nine at this stage to name itself Deep Space Nine, take place on a space station, and do a 2-parter where we never see the space station is sort of brave and fun, and does something that I really wanted Next Gen to do more, which was visit Earth. I'm very interested, both then and now, in 24th century Earth. I want more of it. I want to understand it better. So I like this fun little exploration. The second point that I wanted to make about something I love is I'm going to push back a little bit on the prescience, but for the purposes of making a point. In these episodes, what's great is that the threat is very scary and very real. And in the case of where we are right now, particularly in Los Angeles, but just in the United States, the threat is both not scary and completely manufactured for the purposes of imposing an occupation. So I just think that's an interesting twist. So you're all correct. Everything you've said up to this point is correct. I just want to serious as I will be tonight, because I'm going to keep drinking and have fun with my friends. But I just wanted to make that point. So those are my top thoughts.
On point as always. So let's dive into it. This episode a little bit deeper. We of course touched on this, but the overall plot in this is the changeling threat, right? We learned that there are a whopping four changelings on Earth. They did set off that bomb at the conference. But only 4 changelings are causing this level of chaos, to the point where Admiral Layton starts to lose his damn mind and bring in officers that he used to work with, including his former executive officer, Ben Sisko, to overreact and to pressure the just absolutely inept Jarish Enyo, president of the Federation, in a shitty office. I wish they had redone the Star Trek 6 office. That office was gorgeous. Anyway, not the point. Thoughts on the changeling threat and Starfleet's reaction to it? Joanne, did you want to kick this off?
So I really think his overreaction, I don't think was particularly toward the changeling threat, but more so he used it as an opportunity to seize power. Honestly, I think anything could have happened and he would have made his move, right? 'Cause ultimately, I think at the core of this was, his need to be in charge, his disdain for the president and his inaction and his consensus building and all of that just wasn't working for him, and so he stages, this coup or whatever. But I really think it was not so much because of the changelings. Like I said, it could have been anything. Beta Z could have withdrawn from the Federation. Oh my God, we're not protecting them. I mean, whatever. Whatever it was. So it just happened to be, to Trevor's point, a very real and kind of menacing, sort of threat. Because my first inclination was like, how did we know that Changeling didn't get killed in the bombing? Like, he was awfully close and changed. We saw the flash. So
Maybe he was just watching.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I don't know. It seemed like a lot to just, deal with your insecurities. But yeah, I don't know.
Anybody else have
I
reactions?
think you're definitely right, because like I think he alluded to like having been preparing beforehand anyway, so they were like already prepared with the Lakota and everything before this even happened, and he just seized a really good opportunity. But it's also like Sisko says at the end, like, he was like, if the changelings want to destroy paradise, we're not going to do it for them. So that was the entire plan. I mean, maybe the changelings were even cognizant of what Layton was doing, but they just had to pull off one event, and like all of the more I don't know, conservative oriented humans on the planet got very upset and got whipped into a frenzy and decided to try for a power grab. And then the other thing that I love about this episode too, that I didn't mention earlier, is I love how the whole experience of fear unfolds over the course of both of these episodes. Like, they really take it step by step, and they show how the entire course of events unfolds to like lay in the fear. Then they start again doing the blood tests. Then they start, pointing fingers at each other. Really, really interesting. Also, I have to ask why they don't just, I mean, obviously they wouldn't have a show, but the safest thing to do is collapse the wormhole. Like, they could have just done it right as soon as they met the Dominion.
Right.
But the wormhole aliens, the people, the prophets,
they're fine. They live in another region somewhere.
Clearly, you do not follow the teachings of the prophets, and you have followed Keiko's teachings far too closely. This is why we should have a separate school on Deep Space Nine.
Okay, Kai Wynn, that's just, again, taking it a step too far.
Again, if
Is
the
that
bomb
not the
kills
theme?
Kai Wynn, this whole show is better.
The real reckoning.
It's
Will, I felt like you had some thoughts on this part.
Yeah,
You were saying earlier that they didn't do enough, that cops are never wrong, and people
people
should
no,
just,
I didn't say that.
Yeah, but they should have done it peacefully,
yeah.
and they would have.
Yeah. No. If they didn't cross the border, no. Fuck that. All cops are pigs. with this, I think it's so interesting because I don't think the show they do in one. I was guess in one episode, kind of, sorta, but like they never really discuss in depth how Starfleet and the Federation were ill prepared to fight a war like this, where this is more of a war akin to like something that like we would fight today, ironically enough. Sorry, he's a cop. I these people are explorers. Like they're fucking park rangers. Like they're not soldiers. They're not. I would even say that it's the Navy in space. I would say they're not even the Navy. They're park rangers. Like these people are a bunch of nerds who are in space in pajamas and want to study nebula and like talk to squids on planets. Like that's it. And like the show doesn't dig into the idea, and this could be politics at the time, this could be whatever, but like how Starfleet would not be, the Federation is not equipped to fight this war at all. Like not even like on any level. Like it does get kind of marginally brushed on that the Klingons are doing a lot of the work at some point, I think in season 7. But like this is a perfect example of how like human nature takes over as soon as they're confronted with something that is outside their comfort zone. They immediately go to something that is so sinister and to something that is so fascistic that like people don't want to that humans don't want to believe in their better angels and go, we can work through this in a way that's rational and thoughtful. But the immediate response is to go into martial law, things on guards in every corner, this like intense fascistic police state, because that makes you feel quote safe, but really that makes you less safe because now everything is a crime, everything is heightened, everything becomes paranoia, everything becomes illegal and dangerous. So you deal with this that the psychology that's super interesting. Again, I don't think the show could have really dug into that because this episode could have been a whole season. And like, I take issue with how DS9 dealt with the Dominion War generally, because they should have done a time skip where they went 5-10 years in the future and they're still fighting this instead of the war being over in literally 18 months or whatever it is. And I'm like, what? Like you fought a whole war with a hyper advanced race that is like based on like a religious, like kind of political center, and 10,000 years of genetic manipulation, and like you just suddenly beat them because
through the power of friendship,
because you pushed a woman with a book into a pit full of fire. Like okay, fine,
different witch.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, I think that it touches on some interesting stuff. But yeah.
Well, I also want to like piggyback what you were saying. Well, there's that whole thing that Quark says. I forget who he says it to. If he says it to Odo or he says it to Garrick, that he's like, take the humans' comfort and food and everything away, and they become as vicious as the most bloodthirsty Klingon. And it really like that. This episode is perfect example for it. That you threaten paradise once. And humans will lock everything down. And look at what we're seeing in the real world. You give one side, because obviously we don't have an alien, dominant species to fight. You give one side of the political spectrum the fear and power, and then look at what they can drum up and do on their own. And that's what we're seeing too.
Right.
And a different kind of inept president, but inept president,
right?
Nonetheless. President do nothing, do something. I like seeing just a touch of the politics of Star Trek. I like Will was saying, I think this is another aspect where I don't think they went far enough. Like, who were those aides around him? We literally only see the president speaking to a random admiral, not the commander in chief of Starfleet, but admiral of whatever.
What was it?
And then he made Sisko acting head of Starfleet security on Earth. But that, okay, sure. But what about Federation security? What about the presidential security detail? Like, why didn't they scan? Like, yes, they should have scanned the shit that they, like I said earlier, these press conferences and shit, they are closed meetings. They like it is interesting that they got a changeling into the president's office.
Mhm.
I want to know more about this bullshit. And yes, this is what my book will be about. Thoughts on the president in Star Trek at this time?
I mean, was he inept or was he just too trusting of the people around him? Because I think a good leader is not, the first reaction is not like, let's kill everybody up and lock everything down. It's like, let me talk to my people. What's going on? And let me weigh the options. Now, maybe he waits a little too long, I guess you could argue, but was it just, naivety? Was that what was his real ineptness here?
And I think that's a good point, is that he's a peacetime president. He was put in place to be comfy, and he's, TNG exploration era, and everybody's getting along, and the worst thing that could happen is the Romulans might get mad at us, and then all of a sudden it's like this, oh, we discovered a wormhole, the only stable wormhole to the other side of the galaxy. We have a lot of voices happening with that. Then all of a sudden these changelings are coming through. He's probably just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on right now, and I'm going to listen to the guy who's telling me, like, Starfleet's never, although really he should see the history of Starfleet admirals. But, besides that, like, it makes kind of sense. And to Will's point too, all of this happens in a matter of what, like a week to the president, really?
Yeah.
It was, obviously the admiral had been building it for months beforehand, but to the president it's like, oh, this just happened, oh well, okay, I guess we should do and like, am I deploying martial law after 1 week? So I can understand it,
Right?
But it is confusing, and he does just kind of seem bumbling.
The power went out.
He's the Federation's Joe Biden.
Very.
Well,
no, I think closer to Jimmy Carter. If we're going to
listen,
Earth president.
Any president should be
American,
equipped
not
for any time. It shouldn't matter if it's peace or war. That being said, I agree with Joanne that it feels like maybe he was just a little too trusting. But also, I understand how everyone feels the way that they feel, because I have a difficult time seeing anyone as the voice of authority when they're wearing mittens.
Yeah. I need to get my cookies.
That might be specious, but I'll allow it.
I didn't criticize his actual digits. I just criticized the mittens. It's a weird choice. It's like, I don't have I wear glasses. I don't have a problem with people that wear glasses. But if you're a powerful politician and you constantly run around like this, I'm not naming anyone specific, but I have a hard time.
Maybe he has Raynaud's. He doesn't have the full,
People are aroused.
Or Dr. Zoidberg clippers. and the mittens are for our protection.
He knows that humans want to take hands.
Dr. Zoidberg. Oh my god. I'm thinking about, he's Dr. Zoidberg.
Well, let's just kill them all.
Yeah. It's giving Zoidberg. It's giving Jar Jar Binks. Yeah. He's like, I think it's a person who was like, he's a peacetime president, like this is not on his list of things. Like he probably was not hired. He probably was not elected because he had like strong foreign policy. It was probably like, oh, he, is, I don't know what they would fucking elect someone for president and like
we also don't know how they're elected.
Right, exactly. So like I don't know how that would work, but like
strict popular vote on every planet.
I'm sure. Oh my god!
It actually takes 18 years to
or
get
does the council vote?
Brackets.
Maybe the Federation Council votes and elects a president. We don't know how they.
Yeah, we don't know. So
this is why my project needs to be greenlit, because I will answer these questions.
Star Trek.
So I think like Joanne hits it on the head that he is an establishment president. Like he trusts the systems that he's probably was a senator at some point. Like if we're gonna get into headcanon, he was probably like, he's been in politics for decades and he finally got elected president. But like there's a lack of imagination in terms of like what he's doing. So him as a president. I also hate that makeup. That whatever that alien's bad. But
Now who's speciest?
Yeah.
whatever. I'm saying I'm outside of it. The makeup's bad. I don't care about the species. I just thought the whatever. The design was a little wonky. He looks
That
like a man.
makeup is part of his
So
culture.
He was right though. He was right in the end. I mean, like he fought against, putting Starfleet officers on every street corner and everything like that, and he spoke out against all of those things and ended up being right unwittingly, but he pushed back, as he should. Also detected a little bit of birtherism maybe from Leighton, saying like he's not.
Oh,
He's like,
sure.
he doesn't
human,
even
he's
go
not from this
here. Yeah.
planet,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he can't
that was
understand
gross.
Yeah, Admiral Mean
Earth
Girl.
for Earthicans.
Yeah, and Admiral othering the Federation president is pretty gross.
Also, like, again, on the Defense of Jarish Inyo committee, I would just like to share our most recent consensus opinion, which is who in Federation history was like, you need to really make sure that your head of Starfleet doesn't try to take over. Like, that's never been a thing. Like, this is like, yes.
There's an argument to be made about after that whole thing at the Khitomer Accords of like, maybe we need to make sure
that was different. They weren't trying to take over. They were trying to kill the president.
They were just trying to kill the bitch. They weren't trying to take over.
But I mean, Admiral's trying to take over, The Admiral's acting out of their own. Like, it does seem like maybe there should have, when the president was like...
Cartwright was not the commander of Starfleet at the time.
Right. But it's almost like, why wasn't there another, like, board of admirals that he would go to and be like,
Hey,
this seems...
You agree with this guy?
Right, like, this seems extreme. Like, am I out of touch? Am I not, It does seem like a little bit like he's the only one.
The hierarchy was missing because, like, again, he's
That's a lot of extras.
He's not. Yes, it's a lot of extras.
Yeah. They all beam down on the streets. We
can only afford 2 security officers, but y'all want 18 admirals walking into that 4x4 room that he was holding up in.
I mean, maybe
reuse the TNG president's office set.
Yes,
come on.
Again, which was
yeah.
No, it would have at the time. It would have been Voyager's mess hall.
Oh, yeah. Well,
right.
He remodeled and
yes.
That would have been such a great deep cut if they did that.
That would have been hilarious if they had just put like curtains in front of them, like done the exact same thing.
Yes. It's very. They mention this in the book. What was it? Articles of the Federation?
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the president's office changing from one point to another because of like renovation or something, which I think they put in. Yeah, it was something like that. One of the presidents decided to take the smaller office because they didn't like meetings or something like that. It's like it was a very funny thing to include in a book, not about Star Trek VI versus Deep Space Nine presidential offices, but by way of explaining why a production choice happened. Like,
it's all
Star Trek
cyclical.
nerds. I love nerds. All of them.
Didn't one of your presidents didn't one of your presidents go and like work in the other building where the VP usually works?
Yeah.
That's happened a couple times.
I heard that. Yeah.
There was a swimming pool at one point that got taken out. Yeah, they've done a lot of renovations to the White House. Good night, everybody.
So this has been a great salon.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Let's talk about Red Squad. Speaking of goons doing the bidding of fascistic so-and-so.
I mean,
that ginger with the DSLs
was probably doing a lot of gooning. Perhaps.
While shutting down the power grid and waiting to get his spot on the USS Valiant. I realized, he didn't have that much of a whatever, but I realized it's the same actor and the same cadet in this episode ends up the helmsman in the Red Squad Defiant class ship, the Valiant, in the future episode, the Valiant.
The single most stressful episode of Deep Space Nine to me.
Yes.
Because I don't think children should be involved in anything. But
yeah, Doge kids, yeah. Norman's right. Yeah, the Red Squad, the Doge kids.
Talk about another. Oh my God, that's perfect.
Very Doge quit.
That is exactly. Wow. Deep Space Nine is. I want I'm doing a petition. We reboot DS9, except it's the exact same plot and just has better production value. The good use of AI.
It is very funny to me that the Starfleet coup master, Admiral Layton, was like, we need to put someone in charge of the squad of cadets who's going to help me overthrow the government. And he's like, that obnoxiously and just sort of ambitious white boy. Like, that's the one. Like, there's something very...
Mm-hmm.
There's something very, like, he just picked a frat bro to go knock out the power grid that just feels very on point with this weird attempt to overthrow the Federation government.
Yeah.
It does
Bring
fit.
me your most supple twink to help me overthrow our government. Yeah.
Where's Senate Twink?
Yeah.
I've seen what he
Oh,
can
God.
do.
Not
He's in
her.
Australia,
He can do-
actually.
Yeah, owning it now.
I
Yeah.
saw that.
He fled the country. Good for him.
Yes. We'll explain off.
I have a video I'll send you.
Oh.
No. I won't do that.
Um,
I already blocked you on socials. I don't need to
Trevor's
see
not
that.
going to get this, but it definitely does earn.
Problematic gay alert.
You'll understand when. Matt
Why am I
says-
not going to get... What are you talking about?
No, it was what I said.
You said I thought you said you didn't know what Senate Tweak was.
When did I say that?
Oh,
I thought you did. I thought you questioned it
Oh,
because
God.
I had the pad pulled. I was
Bro,
You're hearing things I never said and forgetting things I have said passionately.
I
We'll get
am
back to that later.
taking down the timestamp to double check. I will be vindicated.
Poor
Either
Joey.
way, DSL's shutting down the power. Any other thoughts on Red Squad before we talk about our last bit of the plot?
Red Squad's the faggot.
It feels like a bad idea.
Red Squad. Fucking faggots.
I love that you both said the same thing, just in very different ways.
different ways.
This is why this Salon is the reason I can never run for office, because they keep throwing slurs out.
I will say that.
Yeah, that's the reason, Will. That's,
Yeah,
that's the only
yeah,
reason.
I run for office. I'm blaming this.
The
I
Magnets
will
will
say
love you though. They bring it back.
Yeah.
My digital paper trail. Good God.
You'll never be able to bury that.
Also, your Polaroid paper trail.
Hey, that's art.
That's a story for off the Salon.
I'm an
On our
artist.
Patreon.
Oh God, yeah. Well, my face is not in any of those photos. Continuing on.
I will just want to say that, like, I love the scene where Cisco just immediately manipulates the shit out of that twink.
Yeah.
Like, it was
Well, and the
so
Admiral,
good.
too.
Yeah, absolutely. Both of them. That whole, like, I get that happens back to back, basically.
Yeah, the Bullion
was-
Admiral and the
I
Admiral.
loved it.
It was a lot of daddy energy. It was a lot of, like,
Yeah.
He's like, I have a teenage son. I understand what's happening here.
Yeah.
Joanne, how did his strong masculine energy make you feel in these?
Oh God.
Don't
No. No.
I just know how much you like Cisco, so I'm just checking in, making sure you're okay.
she's just gonna sip her rock to Gino and let y'all out.
Go off camera.
She said this has been a great-
Bye. She's so over us. She's
These-
done.
I do want to
She's over
I do want
it.
to point out. I do want to point out very quickly that in at least in Berman era Trek, like Starfleet cadets were adults. Like they were 18. They were in college. They were
Yeah.
Yes, so me continuing to refer to his DSLs is not problematic.
I mean, it is, but it's not.
It is.
He's probably like 22, 23.
Yeah. And again, those DSLs.
Problematic gay alert.
Love that.
Doesn't change the fact that you're still 40.
Oh,
And so is that twink.
Probably.
We were this was 96, 97.
Mhm.
I was 12. Which was appropriate to have a crush on a boy a few years older, just figuring out your own
10
life.
years older now? I guess.
Who knows? We don't know his age. This is
You sound,
my
you sound
podcast. How dare you?
you sound
oh
defensive.
my God.
turn it back on Matt, or where's Ken?
You know what's happening is that you're both in the same square, so I'm just throwing it in that direction, and it's just hitting
doesn't
whichever
even.
one
Yeah,
of you
you
hit.
don't even have to aim. Really,
you
just
can never be here again. No,
It's been fun. This is great, guys. I won't be on the salon anymore. Thank you.
Not in this room. No,
Not on this continent.
Here in the Acre Desk. Let's talk about segue of segues. Let's talk about legitimately. Let's talk about the heart of this episode, which was Joseph Sisko.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about it a little bit before, but I want to make more space for not only Brock Peters, excellent actor, both as Cartwright and a very different and a very clearly different character, unless you're a child, as we've said earlier. Because I had the same thought as a child.
It confused me. I also thought when you'd hear the credits of a show and they would say many more people, I always thought that was a person's name because my mother's maiden name was Moore, so I thought there was someone named Many Moore. Wow. I was isolated as a child. I lived in the desert.
Yes.
I read books and cried. I wanted to smoke cigarettes. That was my childhood. I read books and I was like, what would really go well with this book? A Virginia Slim. I really just wanted to smoke as a toddler. And
you weren't wrong.
I mean,
it looks cool as hell. It's terrible for you. Don't smoke.
I'd be the coolest 4-year-old. I would have been the coolest 4-year-old if I was allowed to smoke.
Don't smoke as an adult. If you're a toddler, light them up. But no.
Right. Your body.
Yeah, your lungs are still.
Your lungs are young. Kid, you'll be fine. Your lungs.
Give it 7 years, they'll be pink again.
Get me my juice box.
Oh God.
You should have seen what they did on the
turn on Bluey and get my
Speaking of juice box,
Joseph Sisko is the heart of this episode. He and Avery, just like Avery and Sirach, lovely dynamic. I loved every time we saw him on camera, and he was right. Ben was taking things too far. I am a citizen. This is Earth. And then he gets scared into it with the power going out and realizing, oh shit, this is more serious than I thought. Thoughts on Joseph Sisko?
I love Joseph Sisko. I wish we got more of Joseph Sisko. I would watch a series about the restaurant.
You say that is the one thing I did not love. I want to go to Sisko's. It looks delicious and Creole food is incredible. However, if I was at a restaurant just trying to enjoy my dinner and the proprietor was going around screaming at the guests, don't even bother looking at the dessert menu, because if you order anything other than my creme brulee Louisiana flair, it's going to get real problematic if I keep trying to do.
Every restaurant should be like that, Stan. You're objectively wrong.
No, God, I'm trying to have a conversation. None of you order anything but the souffle.
My thought is that if you don't have to pay with money, you do have to pay with whatever the emphasis.
You know what?
Whoever's going to own a restaurant and cook for everybody has to have something a little screwy. I've worked with enough. And I'm going to say, if everybody can just open their own restaurants and you go in, you're like, I'm probably going to have to put up with somebody that's a little batshit crazy because he loves what he's doing. That's and he's fair. That excited about it.
That's a good point. I take it back. If I'm paying for it,
I want silence and I want you to bring my tap water faster.
Again,
Also, it's 24th century Earth. You could just stay home and order literally anything from your replicator. So you're going to the restaurant for the experience, not.
And you know what?
Fair. I've been convinced.
But wait, that brings up one of my favorite points. It's slightly tangential, but one of my favorite points that somebody made that it's the through line is always replicated food never tastes quite as good as homemade food and everything. And it really just goes back to that, you would almost want, if you could go anywhere in the world, you might want to beam over to Louisiana and try this guy's authentic Creole cooking because, I guess you have transporter credits technically. So it was not Bill Picard that we saw, just the but
if Cisco's is busy, you can just go to the Popeyes.
Right, exactly. The
Real
authentic
quick.
where they still will get it wrong.
Did anyone else wish that the story that Joseph told Jake was actually true? That
But the alligator?
that the alligator was actually in a force field
Yes.
and like came
It is
or like in
true.
stasis and came alive. Like I was kind of wishing that
Protection.
was
If
real.
they did it today, it
Trev.
would be a holographic.
It would be a hologram.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well,
I think
that's like-
alligators.
Don't you wish that he
Also,
put
like,
his son in danger with an alligator?
Maybe I spent way too much time in Florida, but I think alligators are cute.
You've spent way too much time in Florida.
Yes, any time is too much
I
time.
But also, listen. What other dinosaurs have you run into? That's amazing.
Oh,
I'm
well,
on this
be
podcast
nice.
for you
He's not
guys.
here tonight.
They're adorable.
I don't think Trevor heard me.
Final space for thoughts on Joseph Cisco before we wrap this foolishness up.
I love him.
I love him so much. The argument in the kitchen scene, like when he's arguing with Ben and then he ends up having a stroke, is like such a powerful performance. It's like it's one of those scenes that always takes me back to like my anger about Star Trek actor erasure, because he absolutely deserves like a guest cast Emmy for playing Joseph Cisco. Like so good in that episode specifically. Also, I looked up his Wikipedia earlier, and he was so cute when he was younger. You have to go check it out.
Oh, wait,
He was handsome as an older gentleman.
Yeah.
He is. He's still very handsome. Yeah.
At the risk of triggering an alert, Joseph Cisco could get it.
Problematic gay alert.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know though.
Well, friends, we're coming to the end of our episode. It heavier subject matter tonight and in the world, and so we thought we'd lighten it up a little bit with our final segment tonight before we turn things over to Trevor. And tonight, we're gonna make it Mo.
You do know that he's gay, right?
Don't be so binary. In my universe, he was pansexual.
What just happened?
That's right.
What the fuck? What's that?
We're gonna lighten this episode up a little bit and add some gay flair. We'll go around. I will start by actually we haven't talked about her yet. Dr. Leah Brahms / Captain Benteen.
Mm-hmm.
It was way too far into my Star Trek love and adulthood before I realized that was Leah Brahms with her hair up.
Is that sexist?
I think it's gay. I'm that kind of gay.
You were only
Hair up. I think she's
looking at her hair.
The Superman effect?
It did.
Where she just
yes,
put her
yes,
hair up
yes.
and she don't realize who she is.
So
Oh,
I am
yeah.
going to make it Mo this evening by giving Captain Benteen a wife.
Mm.
And like happens way too much in the narcissistic side of the gay community, I'm going to give her Dr. Leah Brahms as her wife.
I was literally texting. I was really gonna put that in the chat. I was like,
As-
your wife is Leah Brahms.
Listen, there is a phenomenon in the gay community. I call it boyfriend twins, where you will see boyfriends who definitely look like their brothers, and it's just it's a cute little layer of narcissism of like, oh, you ended up with somebody who looks like you, like your brother. Interesting. And so
If you can't fuck yourself, who the hell are
who are you going? I'll give it to the.
Can I get
lesbians.
Can I get a gay man?
Dr. Leah Brahms left her husband and met Captain Erica Benteen, or at the time Lieutenant Commander Erica Benteen, and fell in love for reasons.
Scissor me.
We'll come back to my co-anchor,
Mhm.
Joanne. How will you make it Mo this evening?
I think Nog had to give a handy J to the twink to get into Red Squad.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Yep. That would make it Mo.
And he
Benji.
realizes that he isn't just friends with Jake Sisko anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
Benji, how will you make this episode Mo?
I love that.
Joseph and Nathan are a thing, and they're like Nathan is like constantly barking at Joseph like through the pass-through in the kitchen. Joseph's bitching back at him from the dining room.
Nathan of the famous hot dogs.
Yes, they came together.
Did they?
No,
No.
Nathan was the cook.
Right. No, I know. No, the joke was they came together.
I understood the
Yeah.
joke.
Okay.
I always do.
We can't. We
It
can't.
was together. It was a stretch. Will, how will you make it, Mo?
I think this episode's been gay enough. I think I thought of something really fucked up where like the changeling is sleeping with Cisco and it's pretending to be his dead wife, and then ends up being like Nog or something, or like Quark would be really funny.
You do.
I don't know.
Humor.
Like partway through was like, Latinum. It'd be great.
Or it was just like in Star Trek, the one where they break out, where it was like, I kissed you. That you've always, because when she
yes. Star Trek, the one where they break out.
I can't
Also
remember.
known
I don't
as-
remember.
Literally,
like
Star Trek
someone gets possessed.
Oh,
something. Trevor, how will you make it, Mo?
It turns out that I'm actually Ben Sisko's stepfather. So it's actually Joseph and I are a couple.
Oh,
which is adorable.
That is adorable. Well, friends, we've come to the end of our time together, and it is that time to land the ship. So, Trevor, can you give us the scorecard and the tallies, please?
I'd be happy to. There were 7 problematic gay alerts in a 2-part episode review about government overreach. Whatever. There was one. Happy Pride, y'all. There was one Ken dad joke, and that was my fault. There were 2 Matt's problematic something alert. We'll get back to you with the music for that at another date. And there was 1 canon alert. I gave 69,000 bonus points to Joanne for going off both half and full cocked. I gave 2 million bonus points to Will for that bomb ass pussy. I just deserve that.
What? What did I
that
do?
That bomb ass pussy.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, no, it gets 2 million bonus points.
Did you whisper that on purpose, or did your mic cut out?
Oh, maybe my mic cut out.
Okay, I thought you were.
I didn't know what I got these points for. I knew it was for this bomb ass pussy. I should the whole.
I didn't hear it either.
Yeah. 2,025 bonus points to Matt for putting up with my insults and jabs from the same time zone. Welcome. An additional 5,000 bonus points to Matt for not knowing what sexism is. Good job. 45 minutes at 350 degrees worth of bonus points to Benji for joining me in eating at Cisco's. And last but not least, 1 million bonus points to the late greats Robert Foxworth and Brock Peters just for being fabulous.
Period. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us in the salon. We will be back next week, as we always will. This has been a rough week, as we talked about at the beginning, so thank you for spending some time with us. This is one of my favorite parts of the week, the favorite, in fact, most weeks, and tonight was no exception. So thank you for bringing a little bit of light and joy into the world by sharing the love of Star Trek. We will continue the love of Star Trek next week, same time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific, next Thursday. Sticking in season 4, we will be talking about The Way of the Warrior, the Worfening of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. Known Worf hater I am, I do love those episodes, but no spoilers for my thoughts next week. Please join us then. Until then, like and subscribe. Look out for each other. Fuck ICE. Abolish it. Report when you see it. Look out for your friends and family. And live long and prosper. Good night, everybody.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.